recording up, and then we can just go ahead and hop into the recording, and then I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Okay.
Nice hook, good placement of your pig pen around that corner, and then just like hooking the tank straight into it around that corner. So it's good tech, good placement beforehand. Um, just good play overall. Nice kill. Okay, so we got their tanks, now we can push with it. Nice hook. Great play. Yeah, good first point. I like that you're placing your pig pens pre-hook. It's a good idea. Good escape. That hook kind of went through him there. Okay, are we pushing without our teammates? Okay, so we have two coming out of spawn, but we're not going too far. We're not going too far yet, so that's good that we're not like just hinting. So there died. We're running through the open is part of that. We're also kind of playing outside of our effective range for a little while there. Not really getting closer to do more damage. We're just kind of doing tickle damage from a distance. So we'll keep an eye on that, see if that's the regular thing. Okay. Another thing I'm noticing is that we seem to be tunnel visioning pretty hard on the Junker Queen. We have yet to come into a fight and look at anything besides Junker Queen first. Junker Queen seems to be the person who we always put the attention on the moment the fight begins, rather than ever seeking to go after anything else, which isn't always bad to go after the tank. But if the tank's the hardest thing to kill, it could be a good idea to potentially try going for a hook on a different angle, right? So like if Junker Queen's gonna be the toughest thing to kill, even if you do land the hook, maybe we can peek here on the side and grab a hook on the Mercy, right? So that gets into target priority. Target priority is going to be, generally speaking, you don't you want, or generally speaking, you want to focus the easiest characters to kill, because the easiest things to kill will be the things that actually die versus the hard things to kill. If you hook a Junker Queen, tanks are not the easiest things to kill. Tanks have 2 to 3 times the health of other characters. They have tanking abilities. Because Junker Queen will have Shout, she'll have Axe to hit you with. They get healed the easiest. They have armor and shields and things like that, right? So tanks are very difficult to kill. And if they're the only thing you're ever looking at, well, then you're just going to have a hard time killing anything. Now, it's not to say that you never look at tanks. Well, you can certainly look at them if they're low, if they're out of position. Like if you just see a really easy, juicy hook on the Junker Queen, like you did on first point, go for it. If they're the only thing you can shoot at, then go for it. But if you have the option, the equal opportunity, so like for example, if you're right here and you have the equal opportunity to choose to hook the Mercy, the Pharah, or the Junker Queen, you should not pick the Junker Queen because she will be the hardest out of the 3 to kill. Right? That's equal opportunity target priority. But then there's also the fact that you can actively go and seek out other characters pretty easily at times. And here it's as simple as taking an off angle. This is the main angle. This is an off angle, and off angles typically are very fast and very safe. This takes you about 1 or 2 seconds to go and take, and it immediately gets you to their back line, while also just giving you the easy option to back out and just get back to your team. So it's just an idea, and a lot of times off angles can help you get to their back line and the characters who you will be able to kill very easily, because you can kind of one tap a mercy by yourself, but Junker Queen will potentially be able to get pocketed, and Junker Queen also can. Gotta kind of rely on your teammates to help finish her off. But what if they're not paying attention and they're not gonna help you kill her, or they miss their shots and things like that? So all different things to think about. Does that whole concept make sense? Any questions on it?
I'm okay. I should have gone to the squishies.
Yep. Cool. As you can see, once again, we're coming into the fight. First thing we're looking at is Junker Queen, which unfortunately we missed the hook, which means that now we're just kind of stuck here staring at Junker Queen for another 6 seconds. You look like you're kind of, you're waiting for the hook to come back up. Oh, so you try to interrupt her axe swing, but it was just too late, and she ends up getting it on you anyways. Yeah, just noting that we're kind of playing the brawl game with her here, so that's kind of what lets her win it, is just that we go and play into her range, which just lets her hit her big chunky shotgun into your face. So trying to play a bit more of a range might help here. Playing out of line of sight of their DPS as well might be something that's helpful here. So using proper cover usage, which we might go over in a minute. But notice here how you not only get damaged by the Junker Queen, but you're getting damaged by a damage boosted Pharah and a Juno who's pocketing the Junker Queen, and you get hit by 2 damage boosted rockets, which do probably just as much damage as the Junker Queen. Now, imagine if we took the same duel, but we used Cart to block off their team. Well, now instead of taking damage from their whole team, you're taking damage from just Junker Queen, which is a pretty big difference. So why don't we really quickly, because I think that's 2 deaths that were caused by being out in the open, and even just extra damage. Usually, improper cover usage can lead to death, but can also just lead to you soaking up more damage than you need to, which could mean that you are using take a breather when you don't need to. You're wasting time. You're wasting your team's resources. So if you're standing right here and the whole enemy team is right there and they're all looking and shooting at you, it's gonna take you 1, 2, 3 seconds to go get behind cover. Now, once you're behind cover, you can't shoot through solid objects, so you're completely safe. You're fine and dandy, but in that time it took you to walk here, you died because they were shooting. All of them were focus firing you. Maybe they were ulting at you, and you were just way too slow. So you're dead. But from cover, you can do a lot of the same exact stuff, except for now it takes you half a second to duck behind it instead of the 3 seconds before. So that's 6 times faster than what it took us previously. And that just makes it a lot better for us, a lot safer. So therefore, good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. The further away we stray from it, the worse off you're going to be, because that means that you just have nowhere to run. The great thing is it covers all over the place. You have slopes like so. You have pillars that you can use in between shots while you are reloading. When you're low health, you can use corners in the same way. You can use random objects around the map like the payload, pillar, corner, doorway, corner, doorway. And then there's also high ground usage, all that is also phenomenal and acts as natural cover for you. Where they can see you and now they can't. And then also giving you a lot of visibility and additional survivability, because most people can't reach you on the high ground very easily. So that's general cover usage. Any questions on that? Does it make sense?
It makes sense. I'm okay.
Cool.
Ready for battle.
Okay, back here when we died. Okay, so hook accuracy maybe could be a bit higher. You kind of do a flick here with a hook, and that kind of throws your shot off. Be careful. So notice that you do a really sharp left there, and then that throws your hook left rather than just keeping your crosshair straight on her. So a couple things to note here, a couple things to think about. One is that your hook is a projectile, right? Meaning that you throw it out and it's not instantaneous, right? It needs time to travel. So you need to make sure that you're leading your shots. So pay attention to what direction they're moving in so that you can throw your hook in that direction and they'll move into your shot. It's not a slow projectile, so you don't have to do it too far ahead of them. You don't have to lead it too far ahead of them, but just a little bit ahead of where they're moving. So that's one aspect to think about. Um, Another thing is just be careful about flicking when flicking isn't needed. Just because flicking can end up actually throwing off your shots when it's not needed. Um, Flicking is just a part of aim that really is just anytime your crosshair's traveling somewhere very quickly. And this is needed in certain cases where somebody is moving very fast around you, right? So they're using a movement ability. So like if you have a tracer blinking around you, you're not going to be able to track that. If she's blinking circles around you, you can't track that and hook her slowly. You have to do a quick flick and turn around to be able to catch up and land the hook on her. Now, same thing if somebody is just not in front of you. So like if they're off to the side, you might need to flick to adjust. So if you kill a target and then need to adjust, so like let's say we're swapping targets from Junker Queen to Mercy, we might have to flick over to a new target. You might need to flick if somebody sneaks up behind you and is not in your line of sight. You need to flick around to get to them very quickly. But when you don't need to flick is when somebody's just kind of walking slowly and straight in front of you. That's when you can just track and lead your shot and just kind of keep your crosshair a normal speed, and then your shot isn't thrown off when you're just like throwing it off to the side.
Okay.
And that'll help your shots land more reliably. Um, I'll go over a tech with you in a minute for shot accuracy and help increase your damage there as well. So we'll go over something in a minute with hook accuracy. Um, Besides that, just out of curiosity, checking. It's always good to check. Do you know what your sensitivity and DPI are?
Sensitivity is 4. EPI is I think 800.
Okay, gotcha. So that's not high at all. So that's a pretty low sensitivity. So just be careful then. It like every time you're flicking, it's if you had a really high sensitivity, then that could I didn't necessarily think it was high, but if you did, that could explain excessive flicking. But this doesn't look excessive. It's just once in a while we throw our shots off with it. So it's just something to be conscious of. I'll go over another tech whenever we go back to the training range of how you can um, just better utilize hook. We'll go over that. Be just as intentional as possible with your hook. Try not to just launch it in, like, cause here we throw it in after she's already around the corner. We see the Mercy, but here we're out of range on it. It's just not gonna go far enough. So maybe oh, actually it is far, it is far enough. I thought we were just it came up short. It is far enough that we just miss it just barely. Um, So stepping up and aiming to the side a hair more. So actually, it wasn't as bad as it looks from here. But yeah, crosshair is just a hair off. I mean, if you threw it a little bit more to the left, because you know that that's where they're all running, right? So once again, leading shots. If you know they're all running for that corner, aiming it to the left more lands you a hook on the Pharah. Okay, so you get a nano boost, and then you kind of back up with it. Okay, you probably want to push to capitalize on the nano boost, not backing up, because then the nano is going to run out by the time you push in. You also, once again, are targeting Junker Queen when you have a Juno right next to the Junker Queen that you could pretty easily target instead. So once again, kind of having that target priority. Okay, as you can see, tanks very hard to kill. Let's look at this one more time. So we land on the hook. Part of this problem is that your nano runs out at some point here, which just isn't good for you. The other thing is that we don't get to lock her into a corner here. Unfortunately, she just kind of slides out. She just gets heal pocketed. Swapping the Juno, definitely you'd be able to kill the Juno a lot easier. So swapping the Juno would be pretty important play here. But instead, you kind of let the Juno get out. So awareness on the Juno and target priority as well. And once again, just noting that like you didn't necessarily do bad. You landed the hook. You had nano. You used 2 ultimates on her, but it's just tank just has health and got pocketed, right? And that just is kind of what happened. If you went for another character, might have gotten the kill. And that then would mean that you can clean up the fight and win, right? So we played this game and we're now, 4 minutes into it, and we've had 2 kills, maybe, right? The 2 at the very beginning. And that's going to mean that you're lacking that like carry potential that you need if you're not effectively securing kills. That's going to be like the big thing here, is effectively securing kills. Big part of that's going to be target priority. Now here, this is better because Junker Queen's your only option. You're waiting on teammates anyways, right? So it's not like you can push without them. You're waiting on teammates. Junker Queen's your only option to shoot at, and she's overextended because she's just really far pushed up past her team. Look at where her team's at. And you can't really get Mercy too easily from here. Mercy's just harder to land it on. She was just Valking a second ago. You could potentially land it on Mercy here. But Junker Queen is a much better option here, right? Because she is now gone from being one of the hardest things to kill to now she is one of the easiest things to kill. And the only thing you can look at anyways, besides the Mercy. Okay, so we land some shots. She still gets pocketed. That's really unfortunate. I don't think that you had the teammates there to follow up with you. So maybe even, I might correct my statement, maybe even trying to go for the Mercy there might have been more effective anyways. Even though Junker Queen is here, I thought you might have been able to finish her off, but I don't think you had enough follow-up damage from your team. Maybe Junker Queen, yeah, the Kree was looking at the Mercy instead of the Junker Queen, and she ended up just getting pocketed by Juno too. So she's getting double pocketed. So maybe even just waiting a second for the Mercy to come a little bit closer and just looking at the Mercy could have been what you needed to secure a kill. And then once you secure that kill, now Junker Queen is a lot, it doesn't have a support to pocket her. Okay, resets. Okay, good hook, but once again, Junker Queen just kind of walks it out. Like, so we're landing, every hook that we're landing on Junker Queen, only one time has it ever resulted in her dying. Okay, good pig pen. Oh, so close, almost. Right, like, it wasn't a bad hook, it wasn't a bad pig pen, it's just on the Junker Queen, and she's just getting pocketed. And your team's not following up on it as much as she could. Maybe if you had another team who followed up easier, they could follow up with it. So you're playing a distance from Junker Queen. That's good. But maybe once again you could like just take a different angle potentially to try to get a hook kill. That's an option, or you can try to just wait for another of their teammates to push closer before you're trying to go for the hook.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going for something else. We're looking for it. We end up missing it because Mercy's just in the middle of flight. Okay, awareness. Juno's up top there, so that's just one thing. I don't know if we know it, that she's there. Maybe you do, but
I didn't notice.
okay. So here, yeah, just watch for her movement ability. Usually, it's gonna be easier to get her at the end of it, not in the middle of it, or not at the beginning of it, because we kind of use it right as she's flying. Okay. You fully disengage from the fight while you still have your teammates alive. Like we do a complete backup as if it were lost when you still have when it's still a 4v5 currently. And it was a 5v5 when you backed up. So maybe rather than like doing a full like wraparound spawn backup, you could have just come and like sat in this room for a minute, and then you could have even like landed a hook on the Ash or the Pharah from here, right? So watch like that you're not completely disengaging from the fight, because then that does lose your team the fight. I mean, they might have lost it anyways, but the concept still stands.
60 seconds remaining.
Don't back up until it is lost. Do you feel like that was potentially a issue where you thought that it was lost?
I think they used Bob, so I think I backed out.
Okay, so you're just trying to dodge the Bob.
Yes.
Yes, okay, gotcha. Yep, so then what I was saying before, just, dodge it, but dodge closer. Use cover that is going to be closer to the fight.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, you land the hook, and then she just makes it out once again. Go for the Mercy is just too late of a hook. Whenever we're going for Junker Queen, you do seem like you're like just like slowly and methodically, like you seem very slow and methodical in the Junker Queen, but for any other character it seems very rushed, like you're just like going for it. And that just might be because you're not actively seeking out those other characters and you're not like being intentional about it. So then it just comes across as like you're like, oh, Mercy's hook, right? Versus the Junker Queen who you're like, all right, I got hook, I'm waiting on it, she's gonna push in and then I'm gonna get her, right? Like, and you're like just like thinking the Junker Queen through like a lot. So just maybe put some of that same effort into landing your hooks on the other characters. Because even when you are going for the Mercy, it seems very rushed. Okay. Make sure you're closer when you're ulting and try to get a corner to pin her into, because this is going to be the same exact thing as last time where she just slides away and you didn't even do a ton of damage initially because she was too far. You also could hook her in. That's another option. You have hook right now. You could toss down Pigpen. You could chuck a hook at her. And then trying to think of this. Yeah, okay. So you could toss on Pigpen, chuck a hook at her, draw her in really close, and then use your ultimate. You could use it and try to pin her. If you like drag her to the side here, you could pin her into a wall over here. You could maybe pin her inside, or you could try to pin her up against like this wall. But instead, you just kind of let her run away, and then she's just gonna slide like off, and you're not gonna do any damage because you're outside of your effective range here. Right? you have to pay attention to your. Oh, you just like randomly got the Juno there. You gotta pay attention to your fall off range there.
Okay.
Okay. Awareness. Pharah right behind you, ulting, half HP. Very hookable, very killable if you just turn and look at her, right? So that's auditory awareness, that's visual awareness. So let's talk about a few things. So awareness, right? You're going to have one of the things that will increase your awareness is if you're not tunnel visioning on one character who's always on the front line, right? That's will help with you because if you're always staring at the Junker Queen, then you're always just kind of doing like these slow pans, only ever having I don't know why my practice range isn't loading. Where you're only ever kind of just looking one direction. Um, but if you're looking around yourself more frequently, then you'll be able to see more things, right? So like instead of doing this, you're just like slowly panning through the map, slowly looking this way and only looking in one direction. Instead, you could be coming through this point, and you could be coming in and you're looking high ground. You're scanning. You're looking this low ground room. You're looking left. You're looking right. Okay, you're coming through. You're glancing left, you're glancing right, you're coming, you're looking right, okay, now we're going for the hook, and then we're backing up, and like stuff like that, right? Like, so actually looking around instead of just like kind of staring in one direction at the tank, that's going to help with your awareness. But then also there's audio awareness, paying attention and listening to your audio. Make sure that your master volume is loud enough. That way you can hear. That's subjective because everybody has different system settings for that. Make sure that your music volume is probably lower, if not off, just so it's not cluttering with your audio.
Okay.
Then you want to make sure that if you don't already have it, like with your headset, if you don't, make sure that on your headset you have surround sound enabled. If that's not an option on your headset, in-game spatial audio, Dolby Atmos for headphones is the in-game option. Then there is play sound when teammate and enemy are eliminated. I recommend turning both of those on. All of this is just going to be things that are tiny little helpful things, but ultimately your audio awareness will not be good if you're not, like all those settings could be great and your audio awareness could still be bad if you're not actively listening for footsteps and gunshots and abilities and ultimates. And that just kind of gets into awareness. Is awareness like maybe it seems a little bit vague like how you work on it, but you work on it the same way you work on anything. That while you're playing, you want to make sure that you're actively focused on it. Um, so you pick while you're playing, you don't autopilot. You're not just playing to play and doing whatever stuff. You're coming in and you're actively picking something to put attention and focus into. And then once you've picked that thing, like for example, awareness, you're going to think to yourself while you're playing. Awareness, 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 awareness. Look around, look around. Where's their teammates at? Where are they at? Where are they at? Look for the squishies. Where are the squishies at? Right? And you're just constantly giving yourself that reminder to think about your surroundings. And when you are thinking about your surroundings more, your awareness will be better. And then when you do that for a long enough period of time, that will make your awareness better overall. And then it'll just become natural, and it will become a habit. And then you don't need to worry about it as much anymore. You don't need to focus on it. You can move on to the next thing to worry about. And that is the cycle of improvement. Also, don't try to do everything all at once. That becomes overwhelming. Instead, focus on one category of things or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category you can work on. And that's just awareness and also just how to improve at the game. Does all that make sense? Any questions on it?
I'm okay. I
Okay,
understand.
cool. Let's talk about your effective range. So your effective range on Roadhog. Let's start up close. If you are close range, you can one-tap somebody, right? At this distance. That's why hooking is very good. If you're at this range, you can still one-tap. 5 meters. Okay, let's see. Oh, now we've passed that. Once you get to 5 meters, now you have passed that one-tap range, right? This is for a couple of reasons. From here, you will not. I guess primarily, you're dealing with spread, right? So notice how all of your pellets are going everywhere. So some of those are missing, are going past them, as you can see, which just means less effective damage. So maybe might recommend like trying to aim for head, but also maybe aiming a little bit more center of mass, just to get max damage. But you still want to be going for those headshots. But really, you're just missing out on damage because of your distance. Once you start getting too far, you'll notice that you're doing even less. Okay, 10 meters. Okay, now we can, if we land those headshots, we can 2-tap effectively still, right? So that's not too bad. 2-tapping. 15 meters. 1, 2, 3-tap. Okay. Well, now that's starting to not do so hot. 15's not too great. So 12 meters. Can we do a 2-tap still? No. Maybe something like this. 1, 2. Yeah, it's like something around 11 meters maybe. Okay, so 11 meters you can still 2-tap. 20 meters, which is your hook range, by the way. So I can hook within this range, but I cannot hook if I step to 21 meters. That's going to be out of range. 20 meters, how much is our damage? Okay, oh, still doing a 3-tap. That's actually better than I thought it was. 21 meters. 1, 2, 3. Still doing a 3-tap, but that's like perfect headshots if you're landing it. Crazy. 25 meters. 1, 2, 3. Oh, is that not taking fall off?
I think it can fall off, but I'm
Oh,
not really.
just barely. I think that might even just be because it's of the spread, not the fall off there. I'm not sure. One of those missed. Okay, wow. Hog has a lot more range on the shots than I thought that he did, since they changed his gun. So in any case, you're still gonna notice that there's just still an effective rate. So from here, it's a slow projectile. It's hard to hit from here, so it's gonna be harder to land because it's a smaller target. It's a slow projectile that you're shooting, which makes it harder. You're also just not doing your max damage because of fall off and spread. So you have like 4 different things that are going against you from here. You also can't land your hook from here. So therefore, 20 meters is your hard cap off range. But then even beyond that, you might even want to get a bit closer in some of your fights, if possible. So being up towards like this 10-meter range is just going to be more effective than being back at that 20-meter range. Because even from here, this is going to make your hooks harder than if you're right here, right? So potentially think about that as like trying to play towards that 10-meter range, and then having that 20-meter as that max distance. And sometimes you're just kind of permanently playing at this like 20-meter range, and that's just going to be less effective for you overall, when you could potentially try to get a bit closer and do more things. Now let's talk about hook tech real quick. This is something that you could just do with the Junker Queen, because you always try to hook her when she's full HP. If you just waited and tried to tickle her down a bit more and then hook her in when she's not full HP, you might be able to actually secure that kill, right? So instead of just hooking her immediately, because if you hook her immediately, like let's look at the damage numbers here. If you hook the Junker Queen just right off the bat, right, it's gonna be, right, we have to land 1, 2, I mean that's you landing every single pellet and her not getting healed or using abilities, right? So that's not necessarily going to happen, but because her health is low enough to, or is this did they lower it for the training range?
Maybe yes.
Yeah,
Maybe
because
150 difference.
oh, that's annoying, because these are all like Overwatch 1 numbers on their health. Pretty sure they're higher HP usually, right? Roadhog's not 600 anymore. Man, now I'm questioning it. I don't think he is. So that's okay. So you won't actually do a 2-tap to her, but here's the concept instead. So instead of hooking her immediately, you whittle her down, and then you hook her when she's low, because then you can actually finish her off. when she's lower health um, with your teammates. So wait till she's a bit lower. But then here's your tech combo as well. So you can place your pig pen, sure, but before you hook, always add a tracer shot in. Like almost always, not every single time you ever hook, but before you hook, add a tracer shot in. This is just as simple as shooting and then hooking. Okay, this does a couple things for you. Shooting before you hook will do a little bit of extra damage, right? So look at the extra damage it'll do. It'll do an extra. I actually don't know, like from this range, right? Like it's doing. Look at all that extra juicy damage that you'll be able to do to these characters before you've even hooked them, right? So what does this account for? Because you might be thinking, oh, well, I can just one shot anyways. What's the big deal? Well, think about this in terms of shooting at a tank. Well, you can't necessarily one-shot a tank, so doing that extra chip damage could mean the difference between the tank dying or not. Or potentially think about the fact that teammates might support the character you're hooking. Maybe their teammates heal them up, or they get maybe they get like an ability that helps them get out, or maybe it's a 250 HP character, right? That makes it or a 300 HP character that you're hooking. So sometimes you just need that extra chip damage to secure the kill, and this is very simple and easy if you just add a shot in as you're hooking somebody. Um, this also sometimes can help you adjust your shot. Like if you miss, you can adjust as well. So it kind of lets you line up your shots. If you're leading your shots ahead of somebody, this helps you aim your hook. So here, if we need to lead our shot, we can kind of use that first shot as a marker for where our hook's gonna go. Right? You get to kind of see where it's going. So tracer shot, always a good idea, unless you just need to rush the hook. Like if they're about to run around the corner, then you gotta just go for it instead of trying to land your tracer shot. Or sometimes if you're just at that max range, it might not be as worth it. But usually this is just gonna be a good idea to, if you just start implementing this, it'll mean more damage, better hook combo. So your hook combo is gonna be, you can place down pig pen, but you can tracer shot, hook, shoot, melee, right? And that's gonna be like your max damage. If you also add in that melee at the end for extra. So shoot, hook, shoot, melee. You can step into the shot for easier damage. Having Pigpen is also going to be useful, but also note that Pigpen, you've been exclusively using it for your hooks, which isn't bad necessarily, but maybe there are a couple scenarios where you could have used it alternatively. Like you can place it in high areas of activity in the fight. You can place it in like when there's that one fight that was happening in the corridor in Castle. You could have placed it there. That would have just like done a bunch of damage and slowed them down and made them easy to kill if they tried to push down the stairs. So it kind of keeps them at bay as well. So you can use it as a deterrent to get them to not walk closer to you. You can use it for damage and just like throwing it into like a corridor. So if they're trying to push up through here, we can have it there, and then they're just gonna have trouble pushing up through that area. But you can also do the easy hook into it as well, right? That's going to be another easy alternative. Ultimate, note, once again with fall off range, like you're going to be doing a lot more damage if you're pinning people in the corners, right? Like notice the difference between like starting it from here and just like pelting Junker Queen, like where you're just not going to do any damage, versus here, well, we'll have to wait, versus here, if you're pelting Junker Queen from this close, look at the damage difference. And if you can get her to get pinned into a corner, like so, you start shredding people. Because you want to be close and not far away. If you're far away, you're doing like nothing. Like look at this damage. Okay, a lot less damage. And these are like 200 HP characters. Okay, so if you can get Junker Queen to get pinned into a corner here, or even like just look at this this distance, how this distance is just helping. So get closer. You can even hook them into it, right? And remember that you can hook while you're in the middle of ulting too. But I might recommend hooking beforehand. Oh, sorry, I canceled my hook. Whoopsies. Wait till they get closer and then ult. Okay, so hook into shot and then ultimate. right? So that's your max damage. Hook, shot, ult. Pin them in the corners. Wait till you're closer so you can do more damage instead of just letting them slide away and get really far away. Okay, talked about a couple things there. Any questions on any of it? Did it all make sense?
Uh,
Gotcha. By the way, your mic is pretty quiet, just letting you know. Um, I have you turned up to 200%, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that's on my end. I think, oh, whoopsie, I accidentally deafened myself.
that's fine. I'm okay. I'm okay, thanks.
Okay, gotcha. I turned up my end a hair on Discord too, so maybe that'll help. Okay.
Ready for battle.
Nice hook. Good job.
Thanks.
Good draw, drag tech there. And good job, like, looking to use the void.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Nice hook. You know, you very easily, you didn't flick it. You saw a giant group of people. You just aimed straight in the middle of like 3 people. And they had Pigpen placed. You land the hook and then you don't shoot at him. you
I thought I dragged him into the corner, but he wasn't
oh
dragged into the
okay,
corner.
yeah. Let's see what happens here, because you. Oh, that's because you flicked left before you flicked right. So you dragged him to the left before you flicked right, and by the time you flicked right, it was too late.
Yeah.
So you tried dragging him this way and then that way, which is your problem. So just watch what direction you're pulling your crosshair there. And then he just gets out because you didn't land the shot on him.
Yeah.
There you might, like, I mean, dragging him into the corner would have been good. You might have even be able to just, like, shoot at him too. But, yeah, dragging corner was probably the best idea. Oof, unfortunate. Okay, think about, for example, just thinking,
60
you
seconds
throw
remaining.
Pigpen to the right. What if you threw it, if you know Zarya's there, and Zarya is going to try to, like, back out to her team, you could throw it here and cut off Zarya's escape route, right? And make it so that she's running away slower and taking damage while she's running away.
Yeah.
So just something to think about in terms of alternate Pigpen usage.
Uh,
Yep, were you going to say something?
no, I'm okay.
Okay. Nice shot. Notice how much easier that is than a Zarya. Or a Junker Queen.
30 seconds remaining.
Probably want to be careful about engaging right now because they could push and just mow you down because it's only you and
Okay.
Juno. So just be
Yeah.
careful about pushing by yourself. Might be the time to back up, but rather than in pushing and engaging. Because I think that they could, because you also bait your Juno into ulting with you when you don't have all of your teammates back with you. So pay attention to just where they're at, and might be beneficial to just wait for a full regroup.
Okay.
But not once your Juno ult is the most horrible thing.
10 seconds.
Nice there, you used the damage boost to get her. Good job. Staring in the air. I don't think anyone was there. Very good job.
I thought the Ash was there.
Ready.
Okay. Okay. Slow follow-up shot. So you drag him, and then once again, like the follow-up main damage shot just kind of comes slowly.
Yeah, I kind of messed it up. I thought it'd
Mm.
come more into the corner.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Darn it, I don't know if we have time or if it's important enough to go over that.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
yeah, no, all good. I just thinking like might potentially been just more beneficial to try to play corner rather than playing up close here.
okay.
This takes advantage of no man. Firstly, you don't have teammates with you up there, so that's one thing. Of watch where your teammates are, so that's part of awareness. Is
Okay.
where's their team, where's my team. So pay attention where your teammates are because you just don't have very much team support up here, right? They just kind of all ran at you and you had like one Juno shooting at you. So that's one aspect of this, but then there's also like the aspect of utilizing no man's land, where if they are trying to push this wide open area, they just have to push through a lot of open space with very little cover. And if they go right side, well, then they're kind of pushing through these like kind of choky areas. So the left side is kind of this long no man's land. Right side is this choke. Chokes are tiny little funnels. Same thing as this right here is a tiny little funnel, tiny little funnel, tiny little funnel. Um, and then this is this wide open no man's land area where there's no cover to use. Both of them are bad places to stand in. So
Okay.
therefore, usually you want to defend at the back end because then that forces them to push through it. If you're standing here, if you're standing right here, um, do they need to push through that no man's land to kill you?
No, they don't have to.
No. And in fact, if you're trying to run away, you kind of have to go and put yourself in those positions anyways. You have to back out yourself through this way or this way, right? Both of which aren't necessarily optimal. So utilize the no man's lands by standing at the back end, defending on the back end of them, and not holding in the front or in the middle. And when you're attacking, you want to try to get through no man's land as quickly as possible while using as much cover as possible. So
Okay.
if you're trying to push through here, maybe instead of pushing just straight down the middle, you can push into this left side, get some healing up, poke on this side, and then maybe push through or something like that. Just whichever route where it makes more sense instead of just kind of running straight down the middle. Does that whole concept make sense? Any questions on it?
No, I'm okay.
So usually the on a payload map, the entire path of the payload is no man's land. So this entire path is no man's land. So this bridge, no man's land. This path right down here, no man's land. So if you're on defense and you're trying to hold and there let's say like the payload is like right here-ish um or so, um, where should you hold here, here, here,
Here.
here? Because then they have to push through this tiny little bridge area, this wide open no man's land, to you, and you can just shoot them the whole way they're trying to push in. And if you're defending it, maybe you might want to think of something potentially like you could try to use the bridge, but or maybe you just run up through down here and use the castle, and that might be potentially easier to try to do. Yeah, so they kind of just run you over. Okay, tank focus once again instead of peeking out on. Oh, now we go for the hook. Oh, so close. But he dies! Look at it! Right? Spend the whole game on the tank and you get him like 2 times. The only like, I think like the 3 times that you've hooked a squishy, they've died like 2 out of 3 times, and the one time was because you didn't even shoot them because you kind of got lost on where they were. Another kill! Look at that! Right, things actually are dying. And then now Sigma's by himself. Hook him out of that. Okay, good hook. Alright. Alright, let's exit out here. We're running on the end of the session, so we're gonna do a wrap-up review and like main points of the session. So let's see, ability usage. I didn't really see too many problems with your take a breather. Pigpen, maybe look to use it a bit more diversified, but mostly it was good with how you're using it for your hooks. Maybe you can use it in a few other scenarios than that. Hooking, tracer shot before hook. Make sure to lead your hooks, be extra intentional with your hooks. And watch your range, maybe be and then really past that, like a lot of it just gets to other things, like your hooks will be improved with increased awareness, with better positioning and being a little bit closer, and most importantly, with your target priority, your hooks will be better. But then also just make sure to put intentional effort behind it. Line up your shots, land that tracer shot, and then do your shot, hook, shot melee, right, for max damage. And then you'll be able to do a lot more damage to characters. And then even on like a character like Jungle Queen, maybe let her get lower health before you're hooking her in. That way you can finish her off. Or maybe wait till she's used Shout, or you wait till she's used Axe, or something like that. Wait till she's burned her abilities. Just ideas. Overall, abilities were a low to medium priority for you to work on. Ultimate usage, you didn't really get too much value out of both of your ultimates because of your target priority primarily, but then also beyond target priority, you also just were like really far away when you use your ultimates. Like you just used them from like back here on a tank, which just wasn't going to do very much. So get closer, pin them into corners, and hook them into your ultimate for max damage. So it's just all things to think about for better ult usage. Remember that you can also use your abilities while you're ulting. Overall, your ult usage maybe went even a bit above your ability usage, because I think your abilities you actually got value out of. Your ultimates you didn't really get value out of at all. So ultimate usage maybe goes to like a medium priority for you to work on. Next comes position. I guess mechanics. What did we talk about very much mechanics? Talked about don't do like flicks when they're not needed. But
Okay.
that wasn't really something that was massive. That was very minute. Um, we talked about tracer shots. That kind of goes within mechanics slash ability usage. Um, Besides that, not really. Oh, big thing. Within like kind of this like mechanics of like the shooting people category is target priority. Who are you looking at and who are you shooting at? Big thing. Shoot at the easiest characters to kill, not the hardest characters. Really basic. Don't shoot at the tanks unless they're the only thing to shoot at. They are low or they're out of position. Those should be like the main like criteria to shoot at a tank. Otherwise, go and actively seek out those other characters by taking off angles and whatnot, or even just looking at the other characters. Because we'd have like the Junker Queen here and like the Mercy here, and you'd look at the Junker Queen instead of the Mercy, right? So just look at the Mercy instead and look to shoot and kill the Mercy instead, and you'll be a lot more effective. Note that even among DPS and healers, there are easier and harder characters to kill. Who's going to be easier to kill, a Tracer or a Ana?
Tracer.
Tracer? Maybe
Wow.
depends on the range that they're at. I mean, if Ana's sitting a mile away from you, then yeah, Tracer is going to be easier. But if they're both at the same exact range from you, who's going to be easier to kill?
Mm, oh, and because
Probably
she doesn't.
Yeah, probably the Ana, because Tracer's pretty survivable with her blinks and recall. She can just kind of dodge around your hook pretty easy in your shots. Ana is gonna be a little bit harder to kill. Maybe that wasn't as good of a comparison. Maybe I should have said like Tracer or Life Weaver or something like that. Um, like or Lucio versus Hanzo, who's gonna be easier or harder to kill.
Hanzo.
Hanzo's gonna be easier, right? Because Hanzo only has one a leap ability. Lucio has healing and speed, which can make him really hard to catch. Right. So think about just all that and come up with that list of who's easiest to who's hardest to kill, and try to make those target priorities. That was like a medium high. That was like the probably your highest thing was focusing on what character to kill, because that will drastically increase your effectiveness. Beyond that, positioning, make sure that you are using cover, make sure that you're using high grounds, not that it really came into effect too much that game. Make sure that you're not running it through the open. Make sure you're watching your range, don't stand too far away. 20 meters cap, 10 meters is going to be 10 meters is maybe a little bit more of a preference, but 20 meters cap off range. Overall, that was like, you know, medium, maybe lower end of a medium. And then awareness, pay attention to where's your team, where's their team, and look around a bit more. Don't slow pan everywhere, and keep your ears open. And that'll all help you note when you don't have your team with you, or when the enemy team is just like running around you and you don't notice them. Um, Overall, that one was like a medium. So to put that all in order for you, number one is going to be your mechanics, specifically your target priority. Number two, probably gonna come to your ult usage, because that's hopefully a pretty simple one. Get closer, pin people into walls, hook them before it, right? So that's pretty simple. That's number two. Number three is gonna be your awareness. Number four, your positioning. Number five, your your ability usage, with really like the main thing just like being just put a hair more effort into your hook usage, and besides that, the other two abilities are fine. Um, any final questions on anything?
No, I'm okay. Thanks.
Cool. All right. Well, let me